Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, wasn't any of their damn business.
When I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it's none of their damn business. He was never asked the question. You'll remember last week, Robert Hur, the special prosecutor investigating Joe Biden's theft of classified documents and then illegal possession and dissemination of classified materials in those documents. He got off. He wasn't exonerated. He wasn't proven innocent. He wasn't cleared of charges. He got off from any kind of criminal prosecution because he's not lucid, because he has no memory, because no jury in the world would convict him, because the special prosecutor alluded he wouldn't even be able to fully defend himself in court because of his lack of full mental capability. Now, Joe Biden, you'll remember, threw together a press conference that night to push back angrily and forcefully against any suggestion that he's lost his memory. Do you remember this moment in particular when he really took offense that it was claimed that he didn't remember the year that his son died? Watch.
I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, wasn't any of their damn business. Let me tell you something. Some of you have commented, I wear since the day he died, every single day, the rosary he got from Our Lady of. Every Memorial Day, we hold a service remembering him, attended by friends and family and the people who loved him.
That's right. When he was trying to defend himself against allegations that he had a spotty memory, even on such significant things as the death of his son, he, well, as you just saw, lost his memory. He couldn't remember the name of the church where he got that rosary. It's Our Lady of Guadalupe, by the way. Now, we talked about this on Monday. In fact, you'll remember this was our show on Monday when I discussed this very specific thing where he's really angry. How dare he? I remember when he raised the issue of my son and his death. I thought, who the hell does he think he is, right? Remember that? All right, well, here was my commentary on Monday about this. And then this whole idea, I thought to myself, how dare he raise that? We all know who raised it. He raised it. I guarantee you we're not going to see the transcripts. They're never going to let us see the transcripts until 20 years after Joe Biden dies. But I guarantee you when he was pressed about why he did this and why he did that and why he did this, he threw out there, well, my son just died. My son Bo just died. And so, I was really shook up about it and I was still reeling. So I can't be held accountable. He uses it all the time. He does use it all the time. And he uses it all the time. He lies about his son's death all the time, let alone continuing to raise it for political purposes. It's despicable. It's another reason why we should always remember that this is one of the worst human beings on the planet, let alone politicians. All right, so fast forward now to last night's exclusive report from NBC News about this very issue, and, well, we'll let them take it away.
President Biden became heated, you'll remember, responding to the special counsel's assertion that he could not remember within several years when his son Bo died. Last week, the president criticized her for asking him about it.
How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, wasn't any of their damn business.
But tonight, NBC News has learned that Hur never asked that question, according to two people familiar with the interview last fall. They say it was the president, not Hur or his team, who first introduced Bo Biden's death. The sources say the president got the date, May 30th, correct, but not the year.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Peter Alexander. Wow, who could have seen that coming? Of course he raised it. Of course he's the one who raised it. I remember when he asked me that. Remember, let's just go back to what he said there. I remember when he asked me that.
Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, wasn't any of their damn business.
When I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it's none of their damn business. He was never asked the question. So he throws together this last-minute Hindenburg disaster of a press conference to prove to the media and to the entire planet, including our enemies who are watching this, that he's completely capable of remembering important things. And he says, I remember when he asked me this question, and it turns out he never asked him the question. His son's death was brought up by Biden himself. The question was never asked. So now You got to ask yourself, at this press conference where he's telling the world that his memory is just fine, and then he says, I remember the moment when he asked me that question, is he lying? Or did he forget that too? It's got to be one or the other. At the press conference where he's trying to explain that he hasn't lost his memory, he lost his memory. Or he lied to you about losing his memory. Now, of course, as I just showed you, we here on this program, we called it. We knew it. We know this guy. We've watched this guy. We know exactly who he is. And we knew that he was the one who raised it at the beginning. So why didn't the rest of the press know that? Why didn't the rest of the media, the people who are actually paid, I assure you, a lot more than we're paid to do this job, why didn't they question it? Why didn't they challenge it? In fact, they did the opposite. Look at what CBS News did here. They actually put together this glorious, triumphant meme, making him look so defiant and such a tough guy. It wasn't any of their damn business. They took that quote and turned it into a meme to celebrate him. And by the way, the Democrats, they sort of exploited the issue as well. They actually put out a fundraising letter, multiple fundraising letters in Dr. Jill Biden's name, specifically focusing on this. Hold on. How dare they suggest that Joe Biden couldn't remember the death of his son? I hope you can imagine how it felt to read that attack, not just as Joe's wife, but as Beau's mother, stepmother. They were shameless about this, and no one challenged it. No one questioned it. It's like no one knows who this guy is, or they're all lying to you. Well, at the White House, the spokesperson for the White House counsel, Ian Sams, he gave a press conference, again, emergency, Monday or Tuesday, I think it was, of this week, trying to clean up this mess. And he was asked, will you release the transcript of this so the American people for themselves can see exactly how these questions and answers went, so we can determine whether the president has failed memory. And he said, no, we can't do that because of national security concerns. Well, one reporter out there, and I don't know who it is, was very smart. For once, a reporter in the White House briefing room was smart. It's probably the person from, the Daily Caller or a conservative site, and said, hold on a minute. How about just that part about Beau Biden? Because Robert Hur says that he forgot what year Beau Biden was born. Joe Biden says, how dare you even suggest that I forgot that thing? That's a lie. Well, certainly that's not a national security concern. So how about you release that part of the transcript? Watch.
With respect to the portion of the video in the transcript where he was asked about his time as vice president and about Beau Biden's death, why not release those parts of the video? Those aren't classified.
It's a transcript we're talking about, and I already addressed this with Justin.
Okay, so what you're saying is this wasn't a video. There's not tapes that you can release of that.
I was just responding. I think that the question is about the transcript.
Okay.
So he just changed the subject. He deflected it. He didn't answer the question and just pretended to move on. No answer, no yes, no, just, yeah, I'm not even going to acknowledge that. But it still remains unanswered. The part about Beau Biden is not classified. Why not release it? There's a cover-up going on. There's a cover-up going on right now. It's the classic Washington scandal. You've got either a crime or, in this case, a terrible, terrifying gaffe that looks like the president is incapable of actually carrying out the duties of his job. And now they're all lying about it, and they're trying to cover it up. In fact, the talking points have gotten down to Congress as well.
In the report, it said that President Biden is an elderly man with a bad memory. Do you think that President Biden is mentally fit for office?
That was a partisan report, and President Biden has been absolved of any criminal wrongdoing.
All right, so both of those things are lies. It's not a partisan report. This was from the Justice Department. It was Biden's Justice Department that selected the prosecutor to do it. He wasn't acting as a Republican or a member of any political party, so that's a lie. And also, he was not fully exonerated. Are that the language that she used there? I mean, what a bald-faced lie, if I may say bald-faced lie in this context. It's certainly nothing personal. Congresswoman Presley.
Absolved of any criminal wrongdoing.
Resolved. He's been completely, no, that's actually not at all what the prosecutor's report said. In fact, the prosecutor's report detailed exactly what kind of crimes the president committed. He merely said that we can't press charges because he's got mashed potato for brains. Eric Swalwell was asked the exact same question.
I would prefer an elderly man over an elderly man who's just chaotic and crazy and has 91 felony counts awaiting him.
Ah, yes, this is the other line of attack they're doing. But Trump. They're both elderly man. And they're both, and neither of them have a good memory, which is a hell of a defense for Joe Biden. Oh, well, Trump's just as bad. Okay, if that's the story you want to go with. A lot of people are saying this too, by the way. Trump's old too. Nikki Haley has been using this one. He's old too, and he mistook Nikki Haley for Nancy Pelosi. They're all the same. They're not all the same. If I may give you a little bit of a talking point that you can use against your liberal brother-in-law or the idiot grunge hipster who has a cubicle in the office that's constantly pushing you with Bernie bro stuff, or maybe that idiot who shows up on your Facebook page and challenges you on all these things. What's the difference? Trump's just as bad. Actually, there is a difference. Can I tell you what the difference is? During the Trump presidency, they kept throwing the 25th Amendment out there. Remember this news cycle? They got some TV psychologist to go on CNN and diagnose Donald Trump as mentally unfit without any kind of mental capacity to do the job. Remember this news cycle? I do. I vividly remember it. What did Trump do? What did the Trump White House do? They actually had him take a cognitive test. And they had his doctor come out and answer questions. I think he gave a press conference for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, answering every question from every reporter about the president's health, his fitness, and his mental ability. This White House won't do that. This White House refuses to allow Joe Biden to take the test. And do you know how many times we've heard from the White House physician, the president's doctor? His name is Kevin O'Connor, so I remember it off the top of my head. It's like he's my brother or something, but he's not. Do you know how many times we've heard from Kevin O'Connor, the president's doctor? None. He's never actually personally answered a question about Joe Biden's health. He issues a semi-regular memo to the press, a written memo saying, yeah, president's health is fine, and that's it. He's never had to face questions. There's a huge difference between how Trump handled questions about his fitness for office and how Biden's office has handled questions of his fitness for office. Trump addressed it face forward, head on, complete transparency, and the Biden administration is acting like, well, the Nixon administration. We'll give the last word to the Babylon Bee because they're just so good. Their headline sums it all up. Devout Catholic Joe Biden gives up cognitive tests for Lent. Well, we'll see how that works out for him.